Yeah, good afternoon. In this session on the biosignatures and clues of life, I would like to report some collaborative results that we have obtained during field campaign in analogs of Mars, and also from the subsequent post-analysis of samples. So we call it sampling extreme life in the desert, and we will discuss in particular the link between the studies of geochemical habitats and biodiversity. So that's a topic of a special issue of the International Journal of Astrobiology that has just appeared. And I will report some specific results obtained on this analysis. So we have indeed in the frame of a series of field campaigns that have been supported by NASA AIMS, NASA Astrobiology Institute, various NASA programs, as well as ESA, from many contributors, from the technology side, from the science side, even from our human spaceflight collaborators. We have performed field campaigns in the Utah desert to study various aspects of astrobiology, as well as various aspects of operation and instrument technologies related to exploration. So in particular, you will see we have studied the diversity of sites that are very relevant to study and to compare with Mars changing and diverse sites, as we have observed recently with our orbiter mission like Mars Express or MRO, as well as with Mars exploration rovers. So we brought some instrument on site that allows to provide measurements in situ to better characterize the context, the geological context, as well as the composition and to characterize organics as well as the biota on site. So samples were analyzed in situ, but they were also analyzed in laboratories with more sophisticated techniques. So here is a gallery that shows you the type of operational aspects. So we were conducting the measurements from an habitat and laboratory in a confined environment, where also we have conducted some human factor studies in collaboration with our human spaceflight colleagues. But here we'd like to concentrate on the science and analysis part. We have conducted some extravehicular activities to retrieve samples in sterile conditions and also to train from the operational aspect. We performed sampling on the surface of this environment as well as using a drilling system. And those samples were analyzed in situ in a laboratory where we have looked at the elemental composition, the mineral composition of the samples, soils, and rocks. But also we used a Raman spectrometer, and you can see here, for instance, Raman spectrum of gypsum that we measured. And we also performed the first PCR in this desertic laboratory. So this is indeed relevant to understand whether some of the scenes that we are seeing on Mars could provide geochemical habitat for life. And as you know, Mars is a site for transient environments where you see some signature of ancient fluvial or lacustrine activities. There are also areas where we suspect there has been some transient geothermal activities, even hydrothermal conditions, that could have impact on the habitability of specific niches on Mars. Also, you have to count that there are some, have been in the history of Mars, large impacts. Also, Mars has been shown to be quite active volcanically, even to recent times. So how the proximity with igneous activity can have affected habitability. In addition to these endogenous processes, you have also a delivery on a given site of material coming from elsewhere, either from volcanic ashes, either from down below as spring deposit, atmospheric deposits, or delivery of ejecta from impact, or even delivery of extraterrestrial material. For instance, we suspect that cometary or asteroidal material could bring organics like pH to the surface of Mars. So here are a set of potential landing sites for future missions. look, for instance, the Eberswalde crater or some area where you see some of the signature of geological processes. Now we have found on Earth an area which is an analog for some of these Mars geochemical habitats. That in the proximity of the Mars Desert Research Station in Utah, an area where you can see a geological sequence, so from the oldest here, from the Somerville and the Morrison Formation, that is about 150 million years old, where you can find some lacustrine and fluvial deposit, and some more recent terrains, like Dakota sandstone or Mancos shale, that were deposited later, where you find also, for instance, some sandstone and some more recent units here that are volcanic ashes that also have interacted with the terrain. So you have here a stratigraphy that you can study and put some of the minerals and samples that you are collecting in their geological context. So we have a sedimentary sequence of sands, of evaporites, also of clays and sulfates, and we have tried to see how taking samples from different areas there we can learn about the link between geochemical habitats and biodiversity. We have also some microhabitats there. For instance, we found some concretions, some half-centimeter size concretions, a bit similar to the hematite concretion you find in Meridian North, or also some endolytic microbial mats. Here is an illustration. So where is Mars? Mars is on the top. As observed with the Mars Express HRSC camera, you can see here, for instance, in Juan-Ticasme, some mineral deposit down this cliff, but also some layered deposit that may be interpreted as eventually the signature of an ancient springs. But here at Mars Desert Research Station, we found also some equivalent salt-wall structures. We found also some remnant of ancient riverbeds that have been differentially less eroded, and you can see here the old riverbed, which you can be studied, and the outer part have been more eroded, and we have sampled them as well. We brought a set of instruments. Here is from the Terra instrument. That's a terrestrial version of the CheMin instrument that is going to fly on MSL. We had a Raman spectrometer, visual reflectance spectrometer, some microscopy techniques we applied in situ to the samples. Here is an example of how going from a close-up look of some endolytic microbial mats, where we were able to recognize, in addition to the varnish and crust, after removing this crust, 3 color units of endoliths, which were then analyzed and in the laboratory making use of microscopy with autofluorescence, where you can see these 1 micron cocoid structures and a mixture of cocoid cells together with fine mineral matrix grains on which some of these organisms are feeding from. So now I would like to describe the result from the soil sample analysis that were collected under stable conditions and then partly analyzed in situ and also post-analysis. So we measured the environmental properties, pH, elemental composition, and for the first time, we conducted polymerase chain reaction. So that's illustrating the type of condition in the different sites, from gullies, from a site with carbonates, Mancos shale that we have sampled. And the first-time DNA analysis conducted with PCR shows a very interesting result. As a function of depth, you start to see more archaea, but we see the 3 kingdoms of life that are present in our samples with a different type of diversity, actually. And the subsequent analysis that was conducted in the laboratory after selecting samples and distributing them to a range of a dozen of laboratories, making a measurement with, for instance, solid phase microextraction method to detect a large organic molecule like a 2-3 rings pH, amino acid found in very low abundance down to 15 parts per billion, and also a phylogenetic analysis was conducted. So the result is that we were able to detect all domains of life in these samples with a very large biodiversity for the bacteria part, but less diversity for the archaea and mid-diversity for the eukarya. And you will see in the next slide, we found also a large diversity of this distribution, changing conditions over short distances. We found that there was a low DNA recovery from the samples that contain clay. So clays are a very interesting target, but also has the ability to trap organics, and it will be difficult to analyze them. And we found that the organisms that were studied were very similar to extremophiles. Here you would see for bacteria, for instance, the range of the distribution of bacteria that is changing even a few hundred meters apart in the sampling site. So a very large spatial variation in the distribution of life. Now we compare the conditions in this desert compared to the Atacama desert conditions, where they have in common a very low amount of amino acids detected, so only a few hundred at most of parts per billion in most of the places. And we compared this as well with the mineral context, so the clays distribution, organic matter overall of only a few percent, and in some places we were not able to detect at all amino acid down to 15 parts per billion. Now, the result is that we found the only correlation is that for clay amounts that are inside 9-20%, we were able to detect biota, but outside this range it seems that we are prevented from extracting or from seeing signature of biota. And finally, we found a large diversity of life, in contrast to a very low content of amino acid and pH. We found that the dominant factor seems to be, one of the dominant factors seems to be the presence of clay particle that could prevent, for instance, the extraction of a material. And so we tried to put this information, mineral context, organics, environment, to understand better the link with the biota, but we believe that it still works to be done there. And as a lesson for the future, in my last slide, you can see that extraction efficiency of amino acid and DNA can depend very much on the geological history of the sample and the degree of some clay material, in particular non-expandable highlights in the clay, but also very much on the performances of the instrument. So when we bring instrument to the search for organics and life on another planet, it will be important to have more sensitive techniques, in particular techniques that relies on amplification, if you want to have a good chance of success to detect extant or extinct life on Mars. Thank you very much for your attention.